Another OG model that a lot of veteran Medarotters will know particularly well and come to love. It is BAB00 Boarbooster, with a kit of triple hammer, light legs, and the leg ability of B-loader, which buffs the evade stat of the legs relative to the amount of Metaforce charged. Now, as another model that's available in pretty much right from start, anyone who's been playing the game longer than, say, a week has probably collected at least one or two parts to Boarbooster and not even really paid attention or noticed. But when it comes to what she does on the field, it's kind of self-explanatory what she can do, and that's kind of it when it comes to Boarbooster. All three parts on her are triple hammer, which are conventional melee skills, but they are also full AoEs, meaning that upon attacking a target, it will equalize the damage across all parts that are active. So if it's a healthy target, that's a quarter damage to each part. If they're injured, it may spread load the damage to, say, a third or 50-50 or so on. The only exception to this is if the enemy has Conceal active on their side, of which Hammers no longer becomes an AoE, and instead will force all of its damage to the one part that they are attacking. When it comes to attacking, that's kind of it for Boarbooster. Dash in, deal the damage, and then kind of hope for the best. The flight legs, however, do actually give Boarbooster a little more, well, hence the booster in her name, a little more viability when it comes to what she can do on the field, but her stats, much like most other, say, 2-star models or even lower of much like her, that's kind of it. And she's kind of one of those best of the rest if it's all you have kind of situations. Her armor is only packing about 3049 for the head, just shy of 3,000 for both arms, and her legs at just shy of 2,900. So her HP pool is alright, not the greatest there is, but par for the course for a female model when it comes to the regular banner and anything else you can collect. Base power isn't too shabby though, at arms at about 12, just shy of 1,300 to 1,400, and her head at 1,600. She actually has a pretty fair amount of base damage going for her, and that's of course excluding any modifiers that are going to help her in this case. Her legs is where she falls short though. With a mobility of 937, she does have the high mobility, and an evade of 1932. She does have the naturally high mobility and evade as expected of a flight-based model, and this also is excluding if B-loader comes into effect, which will buff her evade even higher and make her harder to hit. But that's where she falls short. She has a melee resist of just barely 500 at about 483, and a shoot resist of not even 350 means any hit that lands on her, if they do land, is going to be wickedly painful and take a lot of extra punish damage just for tanking the hit. So she will be banking a lot on hoping and praying she can dodge more attacks than she can take them. That being said, as a pure set score, I do have to rate Boarbooster a pretty flat 4 out of 10. While she does have her use, especially on female models where conventional melee or shooting attacks may not be as common, Boarbooster's kind of there. If you use her, great, but she is going to have a lot of very paper-like defenses, which will shred through her very easily. And if anyone is using anti-air on your side, or the opposing side, if she's on yours, that is absolutely going to spell the end for Boarbooster, because her paper defenses already do a very bad job of keeping damage low. Anti-air weaknesses are only guaranteeing that she's going to have one foot, or in her case, booster, in the grave the moment she takes the hit, or even when the enemy decides to eyeball her. As mixed parts though, I do have to rate her just a little bit higher at a 4.5 out of 10. Given, again, even if she has very poor defenses, her armor isn't bad, and her base damage isn't bad either. So her head and arms do have some possible viability if you do choose to use them. And if you do choose to use the legs for whatever reason, my first question is why? But then my second recommendation would be just guarantee that you can keep that evade as high as possible, and don't use any attacks that penalize you with no dodge, because the moment anything lands, that's basically it, and you may as well bury them.